And the reforms, there was a lot of expectations from this government in terms of big ticket reforms. Many who have been following India would hear that there have been disappointments in certain areas. But if really we sit back and look back, there are a lot of structural things which the government has done, which might not be big bang reforms, but they are really important in terms of taking India to the next level. Just to give you an example, the auctioning of natural resources was a pretty contentious issue earlier. Earlier, a lot of these coal blocks were given on an arbitrary basis. So the government came up with a mechanism of auctioning coal blocks and even for telecom spectrum. So that was successfully concluded. The deregulation of diesel and petrol was something which the government continued, and that meant the subsidy burden which the government is to take has been permanently demolished. And even when recently oil prices went up, we've seen that the government increased the retail prices and didn't really put a pressure on the oil marketing companies. Another program which the government adopted, which was initially started off by the previous government, was the Unique User ID Identification Program, UID program, which is similar to the Social Security number what you have in US. So this was a mammoth task in India with a population of 1.2 billion. And it required a lot of technology and a lot of background work to be done. But in the last 1.5 years, the government has able to reach a number of 1 billion. So now 1 billion people have a unique user identification number in India. And the plan is to really take it forward. And a lot of the subsidy which is still there on LPG and kerosene, that will be administered directly into the bank accounts of the consumers through the unique UID. So what it means is that earlier it used to be happening through the public distribution system, and it was very inefficient. Almost 40% of the subsidy never really actually reached the poor people, and it was siphoned off internally. So with this now direct cash transfer, which has already been implemented, again, there is a saving of almost $1.5 billion, which the government is likely to pursue. Again, for the foreign investors, government has finally resolved the retrospective taxation issue, which has been a big bug both for FPI as well as the foreign direct investors. So I think a lot of good work has happened in terms of reforms. There is a lot of reforms which are work in progress. So the power sector, for example, we had a huge problem with the state electricity boards where the debt levels had gone up. So the government came with a Uday program wherein they took the debt from the balance sheets of the banks and converted into bonds. But at the same time, they put strict conditions for the state electricity boards to really cut down their losses and improve their financial health, and also increase tariffs, and which has been now adopted by a lot of the states. Another important reform which is currently underway is in the banking sector. Like a lot of the emerging market banks, we have seen the NPA levels in the banking sector had increased significantly. The NPA levels had gone to as high as around 10%. So this is the first time we have seen the Reserve Bank of India, the banks and the government working in unison to solve this problem. So first, the Reserve Bank of India forced the banks to really recognize these assets to bring NPAs above board. And once that was done, the government infused capital into this bank to recapitalize this bank, and also came out with measures, for example, in the steel sector, okay, where there are a lot of dumping which was happening from China, to put anti-dumping duty. And the banks on their part have been going after promoters in terms of trying to sell the assets. So deleveraging process is currently underway, and also the government is coming with a new regulation, which is the bankruptcy bill, which should get passed in this parliament session. So that will empower the banks to really go after the assets and go after recovery of new loans. Earlier, a process which used to take like many years. So all these reforms which are underway will help not only to stabilize and improve the banking system, but will be a landmark really in terms of future